What's up there, Workforce? Chris here with Work to Game, and welcome to the live letter summary. This is where we talk about 5.3. This is probably the last live letter we're going to get till July. Basically, I woke up very early this morning to go over this, and huge thanks to the Reddit Discord community. The couple of you that jump out and do the live translations for us is amazing. The beginning of this live letter was translated for us in English, and then they moved to full Japanese when we started talking about the game. The live letter focuses on our next patch. We have this lovely picture, and it's called Reflections in Crystal. Now, I am going to be showing all the slides that were shown. Some of those have spoiler images, so if you want to listen to audio only and keep turned away, I'm just going to have them kind of flashing through with everything else. I'm only showing things they showed us, so that is the level of spoiler they chose to go with, and I'm going to trust the devs that will not make this any less of a narrative experience, as Shadowbringers has turned out to be nothing short of a narrative masterpiece. So they spent the first, I would say, 10 or 20 minutes talking about COVID and the effect it's had. This has delayed the patch. This has delayed likely the next expansion. It looks like the initial delay may have been just a short-term forecast, and that has actually pushed out. Hearing things like 6 weeks now for the delay, and it could easily push out longer and longer and longer until this gets better. They said they weren't really set up to ever move to work from home for a lot of security reasons, for cultural reasons. Then they have devs who are at home now, and even if they can get them the big, expensive, loud, proprietary machines with all their fancy software and information on it, and they can remote it into a facility that was designed specifically not to allow that for security reasons, you still have people who are living in tiny apartments with family and things like that. And it's not easy to find the time to have the same focus that you can in an environment where you're surrounded by peers who are helping you work instead of other people who are bored and stuck at home as well. And so it is something they're working through. They said a huge thanks to medical workers. They read a letter from a player who's a medical worker, and it was an emotional beginning. It's a reminder, I don't feel great this week, but I don't have COVID. There's a lot of people that are affected a lot more than me, and it's impacting the whole world. It's something we will share. It will be a life event for many people. This will be something they can look back on, and this is a moment that life is very different. So that is no different with 14. So to not spend too long on that, I just wanted to kind of mention it because they mentioned it now in 5.3. Most of this stuff is things that they have already told us, or things that a 0.3 patch would always have had. The beginning of this is no surprises. So new main scenario. The 0.3 also will conclude the main story because the next next odd patch will be 0.5, where we go into the next, so we need to have a patch remaining to set us up for the next expansion. This is going to be when we get our Realm Reborn being redone here, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So the Crystal Tower and the quest My Little Chocobo must be complete moving forward. That will also become part of the new player experience as a result, so that they don't have to loop back like any of you might have to. You must go back and you must complete the Crystal Tower and have the quest My Little Chocobo complete going into this patch. They showed this image. I think this is very spoilery for anybody that kind of recognizes this. For any new players out there, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It looks like one of those images where you have to kind of like squint in and out and something 3D is going to appear. But I was excited. This is something that I wanted to see a lot more of, and it's something that I hoped we would find a way to bring more in the expansion. I have a lot of questions, and so I wanted something that would give us a lot of flavor, so almost maybe something like a Beast Tribe or something like that as a form of mechanic, but we don't really know. That's all story, and I would like something that gives me the chance to dive as deep as I want to dive, even deeper than the main scenario. So if you could give me side quests of some sort, I would appreciate it. We are getting a new instance dungeon. Remember, just one dungeon now. This will be trust compatible, which means it'll likely be tied to the main scenario. It's called the Hero's Gauntlet. Remember, all these screenshots are subject to change. And then new Beast Tribe. This is our crafting Beast Tribe. So this is our dwarves. We do get a crafting Beast Tribe, what seems to be every expansion now around the middle. So if you didn't do the Namatsu last time, which was crafting and gathering, this is going to be our crafting Beast Tribe. And I'm excited. The dwarves look fun. They're standing there in what looks to be the crystalline mean, and it should be really nice to get a chance to kind of see what that does for crafters. For anybody that has had trouble leveling crafting, this expansion has gave you a lot of ways to do it. So I'm sure that will be just one more way to get a ton of experience to get all that stuff to cap before ideally 5.35 when we're going to get our next round of relic stuff. So we are the new Chronicles of New Era. This is all stuff that they told us we were getting. This image here, I think, is exciting. No telling what that could be, or who's standing next to it, or anything. I couldn't tell you. And they're not going to tell us. We'll probably have a new trial fight, and with that, we'll probably have a new extreme version of that trial fight. But couldn't tell you what that's going to be. And then we'll have a new Alliance raid. For those of you that enjoyed the first one, hopefully the second one is better still. I found the first one fun. It was a neat area, neat music. Fights were fine. I didn't really, I didn't have the same emotional connection because it's not a game that I have an emotional connection with. So hopefully you guys enjoy Chapter 2. It's called The Puppets Bunker. Looks awesome. I'm sure it'll be a blast. As with any major patch, we're going to have PvE adjustments, PvP adjustments. We will have... Frontline will now include all frontline campaigns in the daily challenge. No major significant change there. Resistance weapons, we knew with 0.3 would be getting the next step in upgrading. This is going to have your large-scale instance, which is going to be kind of your Eureka. It's called the Bojin Southern Front. And remember that there will be ways to do this outside of Eureka as well. They did mention that, in previous live letters that they're not just going to solely lock us in on this. Which I think is important, especially if the length between patches gets longer this time around. They did say 5.3 was 70% done before they had to move to work from home. They had sounded like most of the voice acting in, sounded like they were mostly waiting on graphics, and it could be a lot of delays that trickle out of this, and they weren't ready to lock in on anything. Crafting and gathering updates. We got a couple of little quality of life things since this is the crafting and gathering expansion. The trial synthesis means you'll be able to practice anything you want, and you'll also be able to search for recipes using ingredients in your inventory. So it's just some nice quality of life there. There will be a new custom delivery client, changes to the collectible system. In general, the Guardian Restoration is going into its next phase. The Sky Builder rankings are going to reopen along with that. If you guys want to fight for those special achievements and titles, we will be getting new upgrades to the relic tools. And all of that is things that they have told us, and I didn't really find too new or inventive. This is things we either expected with a 0.3. If you guys have been around for a while, 0.3 is kind of our turning point where we start going into the second half. Things start rounding out. Remember that we're not getting a deep dungeon this expansion, so by now we would expect to kind of know something about that. But we are moving in solidly into our relic grind. We're getting our second tier of our raid. We're starting to round out quality of life improvements for the expansion. And now we talk about A Realm Reborn revamp. ARRR. This is a revamp, not a remake. So they are removing 13% of the quests from 2.0 to 2.5 altogether. Those quests are just disappearing. So pray return to the Waking Sands. I think we'll probably take a back seat there. Additional experience and gear have been added, so this should be a smoother journey. Sounds like they don't want you to have to do side quests at all if you do not want to. So you should be able to just move. I believe it's 100 quests through that process, so removing 13% does put us at about 87 quests. It's still going to be a long grind. Once you finish it, you do need to have finished Crystal Tower. You need to finish the quest My Little Chocobo. That's because we need it for 5.3. So you're going to want new players to do it when it makes sense, so that they don't keep going and then are told to go back for some reason. So that's not really because it has to be part of the ARR experience to move on to Stormblood if you don't want it to be. It's because you have to have it. You're going to want it later. You're going to want it when you move into Shadowbringers. That's going to make a lot more sense. And it's a neat part of the story. Now, this next image, I made a video about this when there were leaks talking about this. Leaks saying that they could possibly get this. We could get this as early as 5.3. And I said, be careful with your expectations because Yoshi P has not told us in any way this is coming. And now he is either forced to do it or he's forced to let people down, and that's not really a position that's fair to the devs. They spent a while kind of talking about this. We are getting ARR added to flying, to ARR flying areas is a thing. That he did admit that people found it by jumping to out of bounds areas. That is something they're looking to have removed, so you won't be able to do that anymore. They didn't seem like they appreciated the leaks, and that his original stance was that, like he said in interviews, and like I referenced in my video, was that there's no reason to do this. There's no reason to add this in these zones. When you look at the resources it would take, it's a waste of resources when we already have like a bunch of new stuff that we don't have enough resources. When you're already having to trim things like Deep Dungeon and so on, you're having to, we've had delays in Eureka in the past and things like that around current content. You don't have so many that you should go back and start doing things that won't be appreciated to the same degree as the things you had to cut. So it's not something that made sense. This is something that the devs just did. So this is another love letter to the players from the devs, much like the helmets for Roth and Vieira. Just appreciate these guys. I mean, this is not something they had to do. You will just have to complete the ultimate weapon. They didn't do Aether Currents or anything like that. They just got flying to work. All Chocobo companions will have the ability to fly because one of the quests that got trimmed was the I Believe I Can Fly, and that made it to where your non-black Chocobos could fly. You started with the flying black Chocobo, and then you had to unlock the ability for your regular Chocobos to fly. That doesn't happen. Mounts will not be able to enter bodies of water because there's nothing down there. And, due to all these changes, you're not going to be able to climb certain scenery, which does mean no more going to the out-of-bounds areas that allowed people to predict this in the first place. So this should make things like sightseeing logs a lot easier. They did let us know that they don't have any like special music to go with this or anything like that. So if you have any weird, like if you feel like the sound is kind of jarring or if something's not quite right in one of these zones, this wasn't a planned addition. This wasn't something that they needed to add, and so it doesn't sound like they had like a soundtrack kind of set aside for this or anything like that. So this is a bonus feature, and so like I saw a new player streaming the other day. Stopped by their stream. I love seeing new players enjoy the game. It's neat to see somebody's first experience. And on their Roth, they said, "Man, I don't feel like these helmets fit quite right," and it's like, and I just am reminded that like not every player was there for the time when they said, hey, this is not possible, and then the devs made it possible. And so when the devs make something like this possible, just know that like if there's something weird with the way this flying is put in, if there's something that doesn't look quite right, let it go. This was a bonus thing. We didn't need this. Now, I thought that was exciting and surprising, but not as surprising as the next thing, Unreal Trials and Faux Hollows. Unreal Trials are a new trial difficulty and a new minigame. Battle Primals will be synced to level 80. Seems like they're going to focus on adding Primals that maybe don't get ultimates and aren't slated for the next ultimate. The patch 5.3, we will be getting the Akathon Amphitheater Unreal. And this will be one trial per patch. It will be limited time, and each week when you go to do it, you'll get to relive the intensity of these early battles at level 80. Sounds like they may have to make a couple mechanic changes and things, but so it'll be kind of a new way to play this. I don't imagine they're going to be crazy hard. I think they'll just be a level 80 trial of previous things, but if those fights were hard, because those mechanics were hard to learn, especially if they bring back mechanics that like people don't remember because it's an old enough fight. I think that there is going to be some people that struggle through these. I'm looking forward to it. And when you complete your Unreal trial each week, you're going to have a chance to do the Faux Hollows mini game. Seems like the rewards will be based on how well you do. We'll see what that means. Is that just like a little more of something, or is that because like, and is there a way to practice that game? Because if I only get one real attempt and I don't do well, like I don't know what that means. But you could see me smiling because this just feels like this is all off script. This is not something we could have seen coming. This is new. It's fresh content to the game. It's exactly in line. Of course, I like it because Brian and I constantly say, just let us reuse old content. Stop feeling like you can't keep up with the pace of new content. You have a bunch of old content that you could breathe life into with less dev resources, and give us something that we can look forward to. They did say they may move to 2 per patch eventually. I assume that that'll be after they've done enough of these that they want to come back around and, use ones they've done before. I think they even said that they wanted to do Titan first, but they were like, Titan's already got Titan is extreme enough, as I believe how they put it. And the miscellaneous updates, we do have a party of players will now be able to join another party via Party Finder, so you don't have to all break up and try to join the same party. Party of players will be able to go do you'll be able to do the world visit system together. And then when you create a Party Finder, you'll be able to set it so that, like, once a class joins, it won't allow more of that class if that's something you're looking for. Maybe you want to lock in, I want specifically a white mage and another healer. When that happens, don't let another white mage join, and that way it'll just update that party requirement the moment that party hits join. And then we are, of course, getting new chapters added to New Game Plus. We knew that. The new token exchange vendors will be added to major cities. They also mentioned that it didn't sound like it was coming in 5.3, but eventually previous gear from like previous expansions and stuff that you would go get from a raid or whatever you would get, and then you can upgrade with tokens and all that. You would now be able to just go back and just buy the upgraded version. You're not going to have to like get a piece of gear and then upgrade it. You're just going to get it. A new menu for parasols will be added. That makes me wonder if Unreals will drop parasols. I don't know. I literally just don't know what the rewards on those could be, because it seems like you wouldn't add like mounts or something for that. So because Trials already kind of handle mounts, so I don't know. I'm so excited to see another mode, especially with Ultimate getting pushed back. I think people looking for something to do as a group, PvE content to run each week, that's really exciting. Especially in a patch where we're focused a lot on a raid, it's hard for those just 8-man statics to feel like they're getting that same, like, it's their little private experience for just the 8 of them week over week. So hopefully this is a fun little thing they can do. I don't see them being particularly challenging, but maybe they will be. That would be nice. So I'm really excited about all this. It's not a long live letter. They did say they're not sure if FanFest will be canceled. Doesn't look like delays will be possible. Looks like it will be either all or nothing. And I assume that if it is canceled, they would move to something digital. They're just not going to be able to put the resources. And then that way, maybe they could delay it. I don't think you could delay venues. You can't just kick back that date, because whatever date you pick has probably already been booked for something else. This is all very expensive. So even if travel restrictions are lifted, I don't see them being necessarily bound just by that, because they also have to be ready to talk about the next expansion. So when we're already looking at this easily pushing our next live letter to July, this could easily push our patch from June to July, and then we could be looking at August. So when you start to talk about it being, instead of, let's say, 3 months between a patch cycle, pushing to something like, let's say, 5 or 6 months between this patch cycle, and then that kind of rippling out and delaying everything by 3 months, are you ready to reveal the expansion name? Are you ready to reveal if there's a new class added? Are you ready to reveal the new theme and all of that? Like, because we get a lot of hints around the story because we're that far along. But I mean, at this point, we could be a whole patch behind by the time this is over. And if we're a whole patch behind, are they ready to talk about it with us in public? Or does it make more sense to do that stuff digitally over a series of planned events when the timing makes more sense? Released videos, bonus live letters, things like that. So we'll just have to see. I think they're just playing this by ear. They're working hard, and I appreciate it. It's a great time to play this game. If you have friends that want to try it, I think that with this longer patch cycle, veteran players are going to run out of stuff to do if they don't like every single aspect of this game and they only play certain parts. So plan on having to do most of what this patch offers. It's a great time to maybe share the experience with a new friend coming in. There is a new player campaign going on right now. It's the free login campaign. There's all sorts of discounts and stuff. So I think the complete edition's like 40% off here in North America. So like there's a lot of ways for new players to come in and give this a shot beyond just the standard free trial. Come try the game, come have a blast with your friends, find new ways to enjoy this. MMOs are a great use of your time during times when you're quarantined, especially if you don't have a lot to do around your house. Maybe maybe you don't like watching a lot of movies and stuff, and if you're unfortunately out of work, you need your money to go far, and it's very hard to get a better stretch out of your money than paying $15 for the whole month and getting to put an unlimited number of hours into an MMO. So I hope you guys are all enjoying this game. I hope you're doing well. I have been feeling kind of rough for the last week. I don't think I'm too sick. I think it's just a change in season kind of sickness, and then I'm kind of stuck in my own home, and I definitely don't want to go to a doctor right now or any medical facility unless I absolutely have to. So we appreciate all the support you guys have given us in the comments, and thank you guys. My name's Chris with Work to Game. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, a great week, and I hope you're enjoying some Final Fantasy XIV. I'll see you next time. Take care.